What's up? What's happening? You already know who it is and what it is. It's your boy Q Walker, aka Nephew Q, host of the world's most dangerous sports show, Beyond the Game. Here to give you another episode. And what I want to talk about today is NBA max contracts and the players who get them and don't deserve them. But anyways, before I get into that, I just want to let everybody know who's watching it and who's listening today that today's show is sponsored by Black Vulture Clothing. I'm gonna put it down at the bottom. Make sure you go shop at Black Vulture Clothing. Get you right for the summertime. Get you right for 4th of July. Get your back to school outfits together. Get your Father's Day outfit together. Your Memorial Day outfit. Shop at blackvultureclothing.com. But anyway, so let's talk about these NBA contracts and the max players. Man, I feel like too many players are undeserving of max contracts, and the NBA has a real issue on its hands that is probably going to take into the collective bargaining agreement whenever the next one comes up. And what prompted me to have this conversation today is just honestly James Harden, and not just James Harden because I don't want everybody to be like, "Oh, you just palling on James Harden." No, I'm also looking at the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm also looking at the Brooklyn Nets as well. I'm also looking at the Charlotte Hornets. You'll see why here in a second. But the NBA has a real issue on its hands with giving out max contract to regular guys. Now, let's go and look at some of the guys who got max contracts, right? You got Steph Curry, and this is just their average per season, not the total contract, right? So you got Steph Curry, he's making 45 million a year. No problem with that. And then you got James Harden making 44 million a year with the performance he just had in the playoffs. I'm gonna get to that in a second. And then you got John Wall, who's making 44 million this year, and he didn't even play. The Houston Rockets paid this man not to play for them, and he's making 44 million a year. And then let's go down the list. You got Westbrook at 44 million. I understand when he got his contract, why he got 44 million, but right now it doesn't look like he's a 44 million dollar player. But I'll get to that in a second. And then you got KD at 40 million, LeBron at 41, Giannis, PG, Kawhi, etc. So I'm not gonna go through the whole list, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. But let's talk about the other guys. Let's talk about guys like Tobias Harris. Let's talk about guys like Kristaps Porzingis. Let's talk about Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Love, C.J. McCollum, D'Angelo Russell, Gordon Hayward. These guys have max contracts, and when it comes time to playoff time and or during the regular season, they don't deserve them. But let me be clear. I'm not blaming the players. I'm blaming the GMs, team presidents, vice presidents, the owners, because if a team is silly enough to give a guy averaging 15 points per game a max contract, then the player should be smart enough to take that damn max contract. So again, I'm not blaming the players in no way, shape, form, or fashion, because by all means, get your money. Get as much money as you possibly can get. And if a team is gonna offer you 235 million over 5 years, you take it. Even if you don't even think you deserve it, take it anyway. You be stupid not to take it. I've yet to see or hear about a player in the news saying, you know what, they offered me a max contract, but I felt like I wasn't deserving, so I turned it down and took $100 million, 5-year contract. No, get your money, players, by all means. This is more towards the NBA's issue of just giving out money to max contract players who don't deserve them. So let's start off with a guy like James Harden. And the reason why I want to start off with him is because he just had a performance in the playoffs that was lackluster for a former MVP, a 3-time scoring champ. During the playoffs, James Harden, keep in mind he's making 44 million a year this season. 18 points per game, 8 assists, 4 turnovers a game, 5 rebounds, shooting 36% from the 3 and 40% from the field. And he has a player option this summer, if I'm not mistaken, for $47 million, which he's probably going to pick that up and then sign another contract extension next summer. But is he really the same James Harden he was in Houston? No. Although my boy Daniel and Hot Dog would like to attest that he is, but he's not. So therefore, is he going to be worth the player option that he's going to pick up? Hell no. But he's got a player option for 47 million, so he's going to pick that up. Going into his contract extension, a team would be foolish to give this guy a max contract because he has shown time and time again throughout the playoffs he is not that guy. Now, let's be clear. His playoff averages are good. But when it comes down to game elimination, clutch performances, clutch times, his numbers are subpar. You know, he doesn't put up the best performances when the money is pushed to the table and everything goes on the line. James Harden comes up short. But a team is gonna be silly enough to give him a max contract for two reasons. One, because of the name, and for two, they're still holding on to hopes that he can become or still has that same James Harden, that Houston James Harden in him. And at this stage and age in his career, he's probably just not that guy anymore. And so a team will be foolish to offer him a max contract, but somebody is gonna do it. Let's let's talk about his teammate, Tobias Harris. During the playoffs, Tobias Harris averaged 16 points a game, 2.9 assists, 7 rebounds. He shot 38% from three and 50% from the field. A guy averaging 16 points per game, you're paying Tobias Harris $35 million a year. So you have $44 and $35 million a year. And both of these guys combined is getting you just barely up over 30 points per game combined. You see what I'm saying? And the Philadelphia 76ers were foolish enough to offer Tobias Harris at that time a max contract. And Tobias Harris, to his own credit, should be like, hell yeah. Granted, they had Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris were free agents that offseason, and they had a decision to make. Who did they want to go, Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler? Obviously, Jimmy Butler wanted to get out of there because he didn't like the culture that the players had outside of Joel Embiid. And Jimmy Butler, from my understanding, loves playing with Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid has come out in his press conference and says he wishes Jimmy Butler was still his teammate because they respect each other's grind and hustle and what it takes to win. Not like they're two teammates, which we'll get to both of them here in a second. But needless to say, Tobias Harris is making $35 million a season, averaging 16 points per game in the playoffs. That's what you're paying $35 million. And again, Tobias Harris, take the money. It was foolish on the Philadelphia 76ers to offer this man this money because they panicked because they were in fear of he was going to leave and sign with another team. So the hell what? How many guys in the NBA could you sign that could average 16 points per game in the playoffs that you could get way cheaper than $35 million that you gave to Tobias Harris? You could spread that around to 3 to 4 players, maybe 3 players, and those 3 players would average more than what Tobias Harris gave you collectively. You see what I'm saying? So you gave one guy $35 million to average 16 points per game when you could split that $35 million up 3 ways and get what you need, bench depth or whatever the case may be, and still get the same type of production, if not more, from adding 3 different guys. Now, let's take another look at another guy, Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward has yet to play a full 82-game regular season in the NBA, but yet he said he did a sign and trade deal from Boston to the Charlotte Hornets. And this guy during the season averaged 15 points per game because the Hornets didn't make the playoffs. They did the play in, but they didn't make the playoffs. But, Gordon Hayward averaged 15 points per game, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 39% from 3 and 45% from the field. And Gordon Hayward is making $29 million. How many guys could you put underneath your roster that could average 15 points per game during the regular season, and you could spread that $29 million out? You see what I'm saying? Like, these GMs have got to get smarter and wiser and stop panicking just because you're afraid that if you're a small market team, you might lose out on that guy. And I'm going to get to the small market teams in a second. But you have a guy like Gordon Hayward who has never played an entire 82-game season, has given you average numbers during the regular season, has only made the playoffs 1 time, and you give him a max contract through a sign and trade. Like, there's so many issues with that. And let's continue on. You got Rudy Gobert. Now, his is a little tricky because he's a multiple-time Defensive Player Award winner, so I get it. But is he really worth the money that he's getting right now? I mean, you look at Rudy Gobert. During the playoffs, he averaged 12 points per game, 1 block, 13 rebounds. He shot 63% from the field, which is great, but he only took 5 shots a game. And you're paying Rudy Gobert $35 million to do that. You're paying a guy $35 million to average 12 points, one block, 13 rebounds, only take 5 shots a game during the playoffs. And I get it. The Utah Jazz, another small market team who has to overpay their stars to stay so they don't leave. But I mean, goddamn, you can find multiple, above average centers in the league and average 12, one block, 13. Look at Al Horford, for goodness sake. The man's 430 years old, and look what he's doing during the playoffs. You can get this type of production if these NBA GMs and team presidents and owners were just smarter with their damn money. Now, again, I'm not saying that these guys shouldn't go get that money, because if a team is going to offer it, then you damn well better take it. But come on. The NBA has such a big issue with giving out max contracts to guys that just don't deserve it because they panic. They don't look at the track record. They don't look at the reputation. They don't look at anything. They just look at it as, oh, we better get this guy before somebody else gets him. Okay, let that other team get him and look at where they get to. Point in case, Gordon Hayward. You think Boston is tripping because they let Gordon Hayward go? Look, they're in the Eastern Conference semifinals right now with the Milwaukee Bucks. You think they tripping because they let Gordon Hayward go to Charlotte? Hell no. Bye. See you later. And then look at a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn, as Kevin Durant called him. Kristaps Porzingis is making $31 million this season, which is a max contract. And he's averaging 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Now, he got traded midway through the season. So when he was with Dallas at the beginning of the season, he was shooting 28% from the three-point line and 45% from the field. Once he got to Washington, he was shooting 36% from the three-point line and 47% from the field. But my point is that how many guys in the damn league are averaging 20 points per game? There's a litany of guys who are averaging 20 points per game, and you decide that you want to give. Now, at the time, it was the Dallas Mavericks, and I get it. They were trying to put, Luka and Kristaps, they was trying to get that whole connection together. So I get it. But at the same time, this guy hasn't proven to you that he's worth the money that you're offering him. And it's astonishing at some of the money these guys are making. Like I said, Kristaps Porzingis. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with max contracts, there's a lot of different factors that go into what the player's average and total salary will be with the max contract. There's things like how many times a player has made all NBA, all-star, MVP, individual accolades. That plays a part, right? Another thing that plays a part is how many years in the league the player has been in the league, obviously. And then the other factor is if the player re-signs with his team, he's going to get substantial more. He's going to get 8% more than he would if he was to sign with another team via free agency. He's only going to get 5% more and only 4 years on his contract, versus if he stays with that team, he can get a 5-year contract. So obviously he can get more money. But let's look at some of these other guys. You got Andrew Wiggins making $31 million. Andrew Wiggins is third, fourth, sometimes fifth option. You got Steph, you got Clay, you got Draymond, hell, you got Jordan Poole now. Some games you got Gary Payton. So, and when Justin Wiseman comes back fully healthy, where does Andrew Wiggins fit into that equation? But he's making $31 million a year. You see what I'm saying? Kevin Love, $31 million a year to do what? When's the last time we heard? The last time we heard from Kevin Love was when the Cavaliers went to the NBA Finals. That was the last time we ever heard from that boy. Now, granted, he's on a rebuilding team, but he's still making $31 million and giving you subpar effort, right? And then you got this guy, D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell, again, another max contract guy, is making $30 million to do what? Obviously, the best players on that team is Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and then D'Angelo Russell. And if you watch the playoffs this past season, well, in the first round, D'Angelo Russell was horrible. Nowhere to be found. Again, teams not doing their research on these guys and looking at track record. All they see is, ooh, he might potentially be great. So let me jump in on this and give this guy a max contract before somebody else does it. And you see what D'Angelo Russell does in the playoffs. And then, like I mentioned, Gordon Hayward, his $29 million a year. I mentioned Tobias Harris. Chris Middleton is making $35 million. And I get that. because they need him to go with Giannis. So I'm fine with that. And then you got Pascal Siakam. He's making $33 million. Again, I understand that because you have to retain somebody from that 2019 NBA Finals team. Kawhi Leonard left, so you needed something and somebody to stay there to help build around. I'm fine with that. And then you got Ben Simmons. This guy, the last time we seen Ben Simmons play was this time last season when he passed up on the layup because the guy was scared to take a layup and get fouled and go to the free throw line. And Ben is making $33 million a season. For what? For what? The Philadelphia 76ers has got to, I don't know. I don't want to disrespect nobody in their front office because I think Elton Brand is their general manager. But come on, Elton. Like Joel Embiid, you give him a contract extension. Totally understand that. But now you have a decision to make here within the next 2 years. You got Tobias Harris and obviously James Harden. But let's get back to Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, you gave him a contract. You gave him a max contract. And this guy has not played in a full NBA season for various reasons. Even traded the guy to the Brooklyn Nets to have them have that headache, and he still didn't even play for them. But yet he's on a max contract, and we don't even know if and or when he will play. Again, man, you gave 30, and before all of the stuff that came out with Ben Simmons, I get it. You want to pay him based on his potential. But his potential and his ceiling is what? The guy's everybody in his draft class has improved their games. Ben Simmons is the only guy who has not improved his game. Yes, he can give you a lot on the defensive end, and yes, he's a very good point guard. But then after that, what is he? Is that being good on the defensive end and being a point guard, is that worth $33 million and you can't shoot worth a damn? I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo can't shoot worth a damn, but he gonna let that thing go. He gonna make you respect his jumper. He's gonna give you a reason to come out there and guard him. Ben Simmons won't even shoot the damn ball. You know what I'm saying? And I'm tired of all of these off-season workouts where Ben Simmons is, playing pickup ball, or Ben Simmons is working out and you see him shoot. I don't care about none of that shit. Show me during the regular season. Show me during the playoffs that you are unafraid of the moment and unafraid of what people have to say because you airball a jumper, or you airball a free throw, or you miss a clutch free throw or a clutch shot during game time. Like, look at, if I'm Ben Simmons, Rich Paul, sit Ben Simmons' ass down and tell him, watch Greek Freak. Greek Freak will miss, 5-6 free throws, maybe even a row, and still will go to the cup. He don't care about getting fouled because he doesn't care about the people's perception of him. His main objective and focus is to put his team in the best position to win, and he doesn't care what that entails. If it makes him look embarrassing by missing free throws, airballing jumpers, he doesn't care. He's going to be aggressive and trying to help his team win. But these NBA general managers, I feel like in the next collective bargaining agreement, a lot of stipulations are going to be put in place with these contracts because of guys like Ben Simmons, and because you have an absorbent amount of guys making more money than what they're producing on the court. It's not weighing in. Gordon Hayward's making $29 million but averaging 15 points per game during the playoffs. James Harden is making $44 million but he's only averaging 18 points per game in this year's playoffs. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's gonna have to be all NBA contracts are guaranteed. But they're gonna have to start, making them guaranteed with a little incentive base. And what I mean by that is, okay, you take a guy, player Z. Player Z contract is for 5 years and let's say $160 million. But to achieve the Supermax, you have to average X, Y, and Z in the playoffs. And you have to get our team to this many Eastern Conference Finals, this many Eastern Conference semifinals. You see, there's going to have to start being some contingencies put in these NBA contracts because I'm pretty sure these owners are starting to get frustrated too with feeling like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm paying this guy this much and we still can't even make the playoffs. I'm paying this guy this much, and a game 6 elimination game, you take 9 damn shots, and then you start blaming the offense, I gave up the ball just didn't get. No. If I'm an NBA owner, general manager, I'm not trying to hear none of them damn excuses. I don't care about no damn offense not being ran through. I don't care about none of that. The ball's in your hand. You do what you do best. We'll work the other shit out later on. You know what I'm saying? Like, enough with the damn excuses from these high-priced NBA players. When they don't produce, it's always an excuse, but yet you still gonna go cash your goddamn check, ain't you though? You see what I'm saying? So I think the NBA has an issue on his hand, and it probably has had an issue on his hand for the past, I would say, 10 to 15 years, more so the last 10 years, because and these NBA general managers seen what the Miami Heat did in 2010 when they basically bought them a team with LeBron, Bosh, and D Wade. So it wasn't more so of a big three. It was the Miami Heat being like, okay, all three didn't get max contracts. They all took a little bit less, so they can put a team around them. But the point is that general manager said, well, shit, we can get three max guys on our team somehow, some way. We could be contenders and win an NBA title too. That's not always the case. Look at the Lakers this past season. Three max guys, LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, and they didn't even sniff the damn playoffs. Look at the Brooklyn Nets. At the start of the season, three max players, Kyrie, KD, James Harden. They had to fight just to get into the play-in and just to get into the playoffs with KD and Kyrie. James Harden was gone. Philadelphia 76ers. Three max contracts. Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, James Harden. And they got them where? But then you look at it on the flip side. Look at the Miami Heat, right? A team that is spread out with collection of players making a nice absorbent of money. Jimmy Butler is a max contract guy, but he shows in the playoffs why the hell he's a max contract guy. And then you have Bam, who's still on a rookie deal. Tyler Hero still on a rookie deal. They bought in Kyle Lowry. So they spread their money around to where it makes sense. Look at the Milwaukee Bucks. They have three max contract guys, Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But their max contract guys produce for them, and they're a small market team. Miami's a small market team as well. Even though the city may look big, it's a small market team. But if you don't believe me, pick up a geography book. But anyways, the Milwaukee Bucks is a small market team, so they have to pay for these guys, but they pay them in a way that it makes sense. Jrue Holiday is the point guard they need, so they're paid $32 million a year. Giannis is arguably the best player in the NBA right now. So you pay him whatever the hell he wants. And then you got Chris Middleton, who is a great number two. He is the Scottie Pippen to Giannis's Michael Jordan. Now, I'm not comparing Giannis to Michael Jordan. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Chris Middleton is fine in his role. He's cool and comfortable in his role. He doesn't want to be the guy. He doesn't want to overtake Giannis's shadow, and he don't care. But he knows that in the fourth quarter, when they need a clutch bucket, boom, he's right there for him. Let's go on the Western Conference. Look at the Phoenix Suns. Yes, Chris Paul is a max contract guy, but look at what he does for every team he goes to. He instantly turns them around. You pay for that. And then you pair him with a guy like Devin Booker, who's on the max contract. He's an up-and-coming shooting guard. You pay for that. And then you draft well. You put a Bridges around him. You bring in a Jay Crowder. You draft a DeAndre Ayton. You draft a Cam Johnson. You bring in a campaign. You spend your money wisely, and look at them now. They're in a Game 7 dogfight with the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, another team. You give Luka the max contract extension. He deserves it. But then you put good pieces around them to make them contenders without having to, put 2 and 3 max guys that aren't producing up to the max contract standards. Now, the Dallas Mavericks will probably eventually need a max contract guy, but that's neither here nor there. And then you look at the Grizzlies and the Warriors. The Grizzlies, their team is young, and to my knowledge right now, I don't think they have any max contract guys on their roster, but they have Ja, who's going to eventually get one. Dillon Brooks, who's a very good player. Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams, Desmond Bane, et cetera, et cetera. They have a whole bunch of good guys on their team. So when Memphis, another small market team, the general manager knows how to spend his money to where it makes sense. Now, you have these teams, Boston Celtics. I'm sorry, I left out the Boston Celtics. You have Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. 3 guys that make sense for that team. Okay, what else do we need? We need a veteran guy. Let's bring in Al Horford. We need a big man. Let's draft a Robert Williams and have him be our anchor on defense. Now, he's hurt right now, but that's neither here nor there. A backup. Let's bring in Tyus. He was good in our system. Let's bring that guy back. Let's draft this kid Pritchard right here. These GMs know what the hell they are doing, instead of these other teams who are panicking and fearful that, oh my gosh, if we don't pay this guy, he's going to go somewhere else and be a superstar and we're going to lose out. But if you do things the right way, look at the track record, look at the playoff performances, look at the regular season performances, it will tell you, it will be indicative of what the guy is going to do moving forward. Now, I know it's a little bit difficult to understand how a guy's going to do off of his rookie contract and you give him a max extension, but I'm talking about the guys who are going into their second max extension, max contract. You've had your rookie contract and your first max contract. After that, team general managers should see who and what you are by that time and base what they want to give you based off of that. So the NBA has a real problem coming up. And to be honest, I don't see it ending any soon unless they do some kind of contingencies in the next collective bargaining agreement. But again, NBA players, if a team is going to offer you $5 million, 5 years, $235 million, if they stupid enough to give it to you, be smart enough to take it. This is more so being the GMs and the presidents and the owners being stupid enough to just give money away, thinking that, oh, well, this guy, he's good. Let's give him a super max. Let's give him a max contract. Nah, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna fly. And as you can see, with the Brooklyn Nets being home, Los Angeles Lakers being home, two teams at the beginning of the season who were favorites to win the title are both sitting at home and look at their rosters with max contract guys. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about the NBA giving away money to these max contract guys who don't deserve it, and how or if they can even fix and correct this problem that they've started. Anyways, let me know in the comments below. Always make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you tell a friend to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can download the Beyond the Game app on your Amazon Fire Stick. If you can't sit down and watch a show, you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Also, you can download the Beyond the Game app on your Android and or iPhone as well and get notifications and stay up to date about every show that we have coming out. But anyways, we get ready to get on about this thing. And as always, this is your boy Nephew Q telling you to treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama. And we got this thing, y'all. Peace.